Hello, and welcome to the Breathe Conversations. This series explores how people operate as responsibility, ambition, and pressure grow over time. These are not burnout stories, and they're not about fixing anything. They're calm, honest conversations about awareness, capacity, and what helps performance last. Today, I'm joined by Lucy. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Pleasure to join you.
Why don't we start with telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do and where your journey has taken you?
Sure. Gosh, I mean, I find the introducing myself quite difficult at the moment. But yeah, so I am Lucy. I am a mum of two. I am a former PR high flyer, I guess. um, I have run my own businesses. I've got a property development business with my husband. I do the interior design for that. I've got an Instagram, which was formerly about interiors and renovation. But I guess where I am now and the relevance of this conversation is that I am 45. I have two small children. My life has changed and the direction that I want to go in has changed. And oh God, I know people hate this word, but I have been on a journey and I am about to launch my own business, which I'm super excited about and which is kind of in this space that you sit. And I think your intro there is just brilliant. My whole business is not about burnout. It's how we can feel better. And I think that's kind of, yeah, that's where my life has landed now.
Amazing. And how did you kind of end up there? So you must have had some points where you're like, this is relevant, this is needed, and now I want to help other people do that.
Yeah. So in terms of the wellness aspect and looking after yourself,
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about this earlier. So I followed an interior designer. Like I said, I had an Instagram which was all about interiors and renovations. And I followed an interior designer who had a beautiful cast iron bath outside. And she would post on stories about going in this cold bath and she would post on a cold day. And there was just something about that I thought, something I quite want to do that, and I don't know why. It just really appealed to me, and I think she just sort of posted videos of feeling very calm and then feeling very alive afterwards, and it just really piqued my interest. So I think it all really started with that. I just wanted to feel better. I think maybe about 3 years ago, like you said, it wasn't burnout. It didn't feel like anything was wrong. I just felt a bit flat, if I'm honest. And I think as we go through life, you have kind of peaks and troughs, don't you? And I just kind of reached a point where I just felt a bit, nothing was really wrong. I didn't know whether it was my hormones, just felt a bit flat. And then I think I sort of started to see that content and thought, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to give that a go. And so we bought just a little Lumi pod and I started going into that. And I honestly just loved it. For me, it was like meditation. I could sit in it for 5 minutes. All the tabs in the brain would just shut off. And then you get out and I would feel amazing. And I think that then really started to make me think, okay, what else can make me feel good? I've always consistently, most throughout my life, done exercise, and that's always been a really good form of release and self-care for me, both mentally and physically. So, yeah, I've like ramped up my training has changed over the years, and now it's all about sort of strength training. I'm doing quite a lot of cycling at the moment, but so those things complemented each other, and then I don't know, you start falling down a rabbit hole of how to feel well, don't you? And then,
Definitely.
I start looking at supplements and mushrooms and protein and fiber and all of the stuff that we know we should be doing. So, yeah, it all started with seeing an interior designer sit in a beautiful bath outside in her garden.
Amazing. And I think that what you mentioned there as well is that you say it works for you and it makes you feel alive. And that's one of the key things is everyone has this different thing that sparks their almost aliveness. Like you said, going from that, not necessarily anything being wrong, but just feeling a bit flat. It's like, what's going to help you feel alive again? And for some people, it's going for a run. Some people, it's a sauna. For you, it's an ice bath. And obviously, you're training as well. And I think that's, like you said, you do end up getting down a hole in the end and you feel it once and you're like, I want more of this. And it's quite addictive, but it's probably not the worst thing to be addicted to.
No, exactly. And I honestly do find it addictive. And we've just literally got back from Helsinki last weekend. And so we went for a weekend of saunaing and ice dipping. And it was honestly just amazing. Yeah. And it is completely addictive. And you're right. It is about finding the thing that's right for you. And a lot of my friends will say to me, oh gosh, like I could never do an ice bath. I think sometimes it's easy to say, oh, I could never do it. But actually, I think for me, I think a big part of getting into a cold pool of water is that your brain is telling you, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And then you do it, and then you feel amazing. And at the weekend, so like I said, I've got two small children, and I was playing with the girls at the weekend, and I said, oh, like girls, should we have a sauna? We've lucky got a sauna in our garden, so should we have a sauna and an ice bath? Because in Helsinki, like I'd seen families taking small children into the sauna. So I thought, I won't set it too hot. I think that would probably be good for them. So we went and had a little sauna, and my youngest, who is 5, was like, I want to do the ice bath like you, mummy. I was like, okay. So we went and I sat in it. She just stood in it and she got out and she just said, God, it makes me a bit emotional. She was like, because I'm a brave, strong girl, mummy. And that's the thing. Like your body tells you don't want to do it, but you do it. And then it sort of tells your brain, I can do hard things. And like seeing her do it, she was so proud of herself. She did a hard thing and she
Yeah.
felt great. And I think that's a really lovely lesson to teach children, but also us as adults.
So that's such a sweet story. I'm so glad that happened before. Is it the first time that they've done the ice bath and the sauna?
They've mucked about in the summer, but they've never done it, yeah, sort of in the winter. My eldest is she sort of says, I stood in it for 60 seconds, mummy. But yeah, the youngest has sort of dipped her toe in, but has never really got in. And I think doing it as part of the hot, cold kind of ritual. And then she's like, yeah, been really like, I did it. I did the sauna and the ice bath with mummy. So yeah, it was just really wonderful to see. And that the way she voiced it was like, yes, that's how I feel.
I love that. And it is really important to, especially in the industries that both of us have come from, they're quite male dominated. And renovations, I was on the tools. It is important to empower the other women around us when they don't feel like they can or won't, or they've never been in that position before. So I love that you're doing that with your daughters. And also it turns it into a family activity. Does Dan join in with you as well?
He didn't this weekend because he was watching the rugby, but yeah, like Dan and I went to Helsinki without the children, and I mean, I think I've probably got him into the ice bath. It didn't come naturally to him to do the cold water stuff, but now he really, really loves it and reaps the benefit of it. And it's, we're in our 40s now, and when we used to go away, probably pre-children, like you would go out and spend a weekend drinking and come back and feel like you needed another holiday. Whereas now we're going away and doing saunas and ice baths, and you come home and you feel great, and it's relaxed and reset, and wanting to connect with your children, and then feeling better as a couple. So and I think just to kind of go back on the point of like doing the hard thing, I think a lot of people think, oh well, ice bath might not be my thing, and it might not be your thing, but try it. You don't know until you try. Or like people that might say, I'm not a runner, but you don't know until you try. So I think it's about opening your mind and trying the different things and trying to find the thing that makes you feel better. Like I think I've got quite a nice routine of, I know how I can keep myself balanced most of the time. Like no one has nailed it, have they?
No.
It's about trying the different things and being open to the different things.
Yeah, definitely. And we wouldn't be human if we didn't have bad days.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do want to go and have a drink and have some fun and do something stupid. Like it doesn't always have to be the perfect balance, but you really made a good point about the holidays, which I want to touch on, which is most people until they're probably in their 50s will normally go on holiday, end up going all out, have a few drinks, and then realize that they haven't really rested and relaxed. Now, I'm very lucky in that the friend that I go on holiday with, Neve, very often, is we have like a 50-50 agreement that we have 50% where we're going to go out and have a drink and have fun. And then the other 50% of the holiday is just to relax and read a book and go for a swim. And we've always had that. And I feel really lucky to have not fallen into the trap of going on those wild holidays all the time. But obviously it is something that you kind of learn. And once you understand that feeling of relaxing and resting and actually feeling good, it's hard to go back to the before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I mean, this is not necessarily about not drinking, but I always do dry January, and I always find coming back to alcohol after not drinking for January, I get a bit of a funny relationship. I don't know if I want to do that. Um, but yeah, you're right. It is about balance. I kind of have to tell myself I don't need to be all or nothing. Like I don't have to not drink at all. But like that weekend that Dan and I have just had, we went and did. It was lovely because we had a bit of structure to the weekend. So we arrived on the Thursday night. I'd booked a sauna in a forest in the middle of nowhere. And an ice hole on the Friday morning at 9 a.m. So it took half an hour to get there. So we had to be up at 8:30 to get our taxi to get there. And then we booked a sauna in the afternoon. And then we just had we sat and had a glass of wine, had a lovely meal and just sat and looked at the view. And then the next day I'd got a couple of saunas booked, and then we got a lovely dinner booked, and we had a fair bit of wine that night with a really lovely dinner. But it was balanced, and that's the thing, isn't it? And we both said it was really lovely to go away and have like a bit of structure and like points. We'd booked the wellnessy things that we wanted to do, and then punctuate that with some lovely meals, lovely food, lovely wine. Just felt really indulgent and makes you feel really grateful, I guess, that we have got that time to do it. And I think a lot of times we can feel quite guilty about, like, we've got two kids and we're so lucky that my mother-in-law could look after them for us for the weekend. But Dan and I make a point of, we are going to go away for a weekend. We will make it work. Like, the kids will be fine. Dan had a day off work. I can put my stuff down. Like, it is fine. You can take a weekend off. And that's so important in relationships and family life, I think, and general life.
Yeah, did you notice that more when you had kids? Obviously, prioritizing that time for you as a couple rather than just with the kids, because I know I'm not a mum myself, but I've seen it a lot where people forget that they were a couple first, and that can get lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when they're really small, and like, you change as well as a person. And it can easily, life becomes a bit of a to-do list, and it can become a bit of a competition between partners. Well, I did this and I did this. Well, I'm the one who has to do all the washing. And then he'll be like, well, I'm at work from like 9 till 6. And you can get a little bit, yeah, especially when the kids were younger and I would just be in the house all day with young children, and you get a bit resentful. I think it's easier now that they're slightly older and we know that we can go away and they will be absolutely fine and really enjoy the time with their nanny. But yeah, it's just really important. And I think whether you've got kids or not, you can get caught up in work and life and admin, and you can kind of drift and forget. So it's really important, if you've made that commitment to someone and you want to be with them, then you have to remember to have fun together, right?
Yeah, definitely. Me and my boyfriend are the same. We're very like work focused, we're very driven. And someone actually sort of laughed at the fact that one of my goals this year is to go on 2 date nights a month. And they're like, that should be easy. You don't have kids. It's like you're still less than a year in. And I'm like, yeah, but we're both really driven people. We will put things to the side for work. So if we don't add this into our diary as a non-negotiable, it won't happen. And
Yeah.
we know that. So we've made sure to make it a point. And I'd love to be the couple that we just end up going on spontaneous date nights, but it rarely happens because we're so busy and we train a lot, we exercise together. So our date nights are generally either exercising or we have to block it out and actually plan something.
Yeah, no, but you have to put it in the diary. Otherwise, it's just one of those things that is really easy just to say, oh, yeah, we'll do it next week. We'll do it next week. No, God, you're busy, I'm busy. Let's do it next week. And then before you know it, you're 6 months down the line and you've not had a date night. So yeah, it's important to schedule fun, organise fun.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I want to take it back a little bit back into your background. Obviously, you were quite heavy in the social media background. You're very humble about your Instagram. You've got quite a large following. And that must have created some pressure, if any. What kind of pressure did that create?
So I started my Instagram when we renovated our home. So I came from a PR and social media background. So when I started the account, I kind of knew what I was doing. But I primarily started the Instagram because one of my friends had said to me, like, can you just go and talk to people online about your renovation because you're becoming really boring? Because I think every time we went to the pub, I was probably just talking about tiles and paint colours. So she was like, go and talk to people who care. But I'm forever grateful to her because I started it and there was a whole renovation community online. And in the beginning, that was amazing because you're just connecting with like-minded people. And like, we're talking about paint colors, and I would be asking people, what should I do with this room? And everyone's getting involved, and it was great. And I worked with some really good brands, and yeah, built a really good audience. The negativity sort of starts to come in as you get a little, I guess you get a little bit more seen, and I'm quite happy to put my face out there, and yeah, you get a few negative comments. And it can be really hard not to take those personally. I think the hardest thing that I'm probably going through at the moment is I'm just switching my content over because my life is taking a different direction. I kind of finished the renovation, and then what do I talk about online? I've got like 65,000 people following me. So it feels silly not to use it. But I didn't know what direction I was going in. So I just wasn't sure what I was doing with Instagram. And then now I know where I'm going to take my business. I'm like, right, I need to start talking about that online. So my account has switched from being a renovation account to focusing more on this kind of wellness stuff. And it's been really hard, and I have to keep talking to myself about it. I'm losing a lot of followers, so I think I've lost 1,000 in the last couple of weeks, but that's okay. It's filtering. I'm filtering out the people that this doesn't appeal to, and that is okay. But sometimes it can be really hard not to take it personally. Why don't you want to talk to me? And yeah, that and comparing yourself to other people can be really difficult. Like, that person's growing and they're talking about the same thing as me. Why aren't I? But I think I just have to sort of separate it a little bit. That's my business actually now, and it's a marketing tool, and I have to focus on it like that really, and not take the person out of it. Yeah, it's not. They're not unfollowing me; they're unfollowing Instagram.
Yeah, and social media can be pretty brutal. I mean, growing up with it, you start to realize actually 90% of what people post as well in the glamorous lifestyle isn't true. So it becomes really hard to know who to trust. And on your side of the fence as well, we're both in the wellness sort of sector, wanting to help people, wanting to share what we've been through, share how to improve their lives, hopefully make them feel a bit happier or more content with themselves. But I think sometimes people see it and they're like, oh, it's just another one jumping on the bandwagon, and oh, it's just someone who doesn't know what they're doing, and they've just seen a load of TikToks basically and they're just copying them. And it can be very like brutal in that way.
Was literally talking about this with a friend the other day. I think I've done some career coaching, which has kind of led me to what my new business is. And when my career coach said to me, what are your passions? She was like, you really light up when you talk about wellness and helping people, helping to connect people. So go and investigate the wellness arena. And my initial reaction was sort of a bit of an eye roll of, oh God, like I'm that woman. I'm that person that I see on Instagram who's just like got into wellness. But actually, no, I need to get over that, because I think the way I'm approaching things is different, and it will be right for some people. So yeah, there is a little bit of trepidation about going into that space, but yeah, no, you've got to stand by what you believe in.
100%. And also, like, if we have one person, like this podcast, for example, if one person listens to it and gets something out of it that improves their habits, their daily life, just how they feel, puts a smile on their face, then we've done what we've set out to do. And it is all about remembering it is a passion as well, and not just a business. Of course, we're in the industry to turn it into a business and help people, but we started it because we're passionate about it. And that's the number one thing to remember.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So now that you're sort of balancing both worlds, I guess, being a mum, social media, building this wellness journey, you're entering a new phase of wellness yourself, understanding how to balance those. How do you regulate that? Have you intertwined anything new?
Um, so I think for me, it's consistency. I think I was looking back on some photos actually the other day. I started regularly going to the gym. I've always had exercise in my life, played netball throughout my life, only retired from netball like last year. Um, and I've done various, half marathons and bits and bobs, but I think I've consistently weight trained since I had Elsie, and she is now 5. So I've consistently had that in my life. Like, I don't even feel like, when you see all the things in January about, get to the gym. for me, it's just I get in the car, I drive the kids to school, and then I go to the gym. That and I, whether I do half an hour or an hour or whatever, that's just part of my routine, and that's really important to me. And I notice it when I don't do it. And then I would say I added in doing the ice baths, which my consistency with that goes up and down. Uh, I try and do that at least a couple of times a week. I aim for 11 minutes total a week. And I've been doing that for maybe 2 years. And then we just literally bought a sauna in our garden, and I am really into that at the moment. And especially after going to Finland and just exploring that whole kind of sauna culture, that's like amazing. And that the culture over there is just fantastic. You can see like people, rather than going to a pub and then sitting in a sauna and chatting, is really nice. But yeah, I'm enjoying that and incorporating that. So the hot and cold contrast therapy, and obviously I've been reading like that's really good for lowering cortisol, good for balancing our hormones and stuff. And I'm feeling good and I'm feeling happy, so I think it's working. And then in terms of when I went through a little phase of feeling really flat a couple of years ago, a friend of mine said, "Oh, have you tried lion's mane?" So the mushroom. And I started taking that and started to feel a lot better, actually. It's a mood lifter and also good for mental clarity. So I've consistently taken that for a couple of years. This starting in January, and I've been really good. I think I've got this into my routine now. Creatine every morning. So I'd hot water, lemon, and a scoop of creatine, and that I have that hydrate before I caffeinate. And I think I've got that down. So for me, those are the things that I think are helping keep me calm, especially being female and perimenopause. I just need all of the things to help me feel like I've got my life together.
Yeah, getting into that like Zen mode is
Yeah.
really important. You're going for a shift in life, you're going for a shift in business, you're going for a shift with the kids. So it is super important to keep that sort of level playing field there for you to go back to. You mentioned creatine then as well, and it's love the topic of creatine. I don't personally take it only because I find I'm fine without it, but I know it's the most researched drug that you can have essentially. As long as you take the right dose for you, it can be super beneficial. And I think that not enough people look into this stuff when they're feeling a little bit down or struggling with the gym or generally just in life need a little bit of a pick me up. And I think that creatine is something that people should have a look into. Obviously, make sure the dosage is right. You can get quite severely dehydrated if you don't have the correct dosage, but it sounds like it's really working for you. And it sounds like it's made a vast improvement for you as well.
Yeah, I think so. I must admit, I did do it. I tried to take it, or I did take it maybe a couple of years ago when I was getting like really bang into the gym and lifting weights because I was like, I want to lift heavier and increase my performance. I don't know whether I've noticed a huge difference in terms of my lifting, but like you say, it's the most researched. And I think the interesting thing for me, obviously, it's all about I want to age well. And I think taking creatine is supposed to be really good in terms of your cognitive, what's the word? But yes, I can't think of the word. But yeah, your brain, basically. And for dementia, I'm sure there's some research into that, isn't there? And actually, sauna is supposed to be really good for kind of, good for obviously cardiovascular, but also good for dementia, reducing
Yeah.
the risk of it. So,
There's Yeah, there seems to be a lot of research coming out around Alzheimer's and dementia and different things that you can do to reduce that happening to you. It's something that I'm quite passionate about. People in my family are affected by it. I also have close friends that have other family members affected by it. And it is something that when you witness it, it can be quite scary. And you want to do everything you can to prevent that. And essentially, it is removing processed things, removing the unhealthy parts of your life, which obviously it's easier said than done, but it does make a real impact. And you notice it. You need to do it for a little bit to really see the results. But once you start seeing the results, it is completely game changing and there's kind of no going back. When you have a bad day with the ice baths and stuff like that, you said you've been in and out of consistency. How does it make you feel when you still go ahead and do it?
like so good, so good. I have to, in my head, like mentally prepare. So if I'm sat on the sofa watching the TV in the evening and I think, right, tomorrow I want the day to get off to a great start, I'm going to get up and I'm going to have my ice bath. And if I've said that to myself internally, I'm quite good at, I'll make sure that my swimsuit is in the bathroom. So I'll get up, try not to wake Dan up, go to the loo, put on my swimsuit, get my dry robe, go downstairs. But I think, yeah, if I've mentally prepared myself, I'm going to do it. If I say in my head I'm going to do it, I do it. It's kind of when I don't, like when I let it drift, you know? So yeah, I have to make that commitment. When I started doing it, I did have an app where I would log when I was doing it, because I found for me, I'm quite pat on the back reward driven. So if I can see, oh, look, I've done 6 days this week, or I've done 3 days this week, or I didn't do any I quite like that visual reminder. So, but yeah, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And if I don't do it, yeah, I just feel a bit worse. I think I was when a few months ago, I think I was feeling a bit stressed with stuff. And like Dan will often say to me, like, go and have an ice bath. Like, just go and have an ice bath. I think it probably would have used to be like, go and have a drink, but now it's like, go and have an ice bath. Because if I can feel myself, I think, I can't remember, maybe something was going on with the kids or something. And I was just feeling myself like get a bit overwhelmed. Like, you know, when you can like feel it here and your breath sort of shortens. And I got back from school run and I'm like, right, no, I cannot operate today because I'm feeling stressed. Or so I was like, right, I'm going to go and do it, reset myself, and then I'm going to go and tackle the to-do list. And honestly, because when I'm doing it, you have to do deep breathing to keep yourself calm. And just, I mean, I probably could just do breath work, but for me, I like the physical act of getting in the water. But just taking those deep breaths is amazing and calms you down. And then you get out and I'm like, right, now I am calmer. Now I can crack on with my day. So yeah,
Yeah, breath work is so, so underestimated as well. Combine that with the ice bath, and it is like an optimal performance enhancer overall. Like,
absolutely.
people don't do breath work because you almost feel a bit silly doing it. It's kind of like this is too simple to actually work, but that's the point. It completely resets your nervous system. It brings you back into your rest and digest state. If you can't fall asleep, the elongated exhale that can help you get to sleep so much quicker. And it's a free tool, but people tend to jump to these expensive things to do. Reformer Pilates is one of the things I'm seeing a lot of recently, and I mean, I want to go and I want to try it, but it's like, and I'm sure it's amazing, but for people that are a bit more on a budget or they need a quick reset where they can't wait until a class comes around, it's like, just do some breath work.
Oh
It
my
is.
gosh, yeah. Go and stand outside. I mean, it's not raining now, thank goodness, but like go and stand outside, put your face in the sun and take a few deep breaths. And I think breath work for me, like, so, you know, you don't want to sound too woo woo. But I think for me, I am only just now realizing how much I use my breath. So, for example, I'm training to cycle from London to Paris. So I'm doing a lot of cycling at the moment. And I did a test on the Peloton where it's a 20-minute test, and it's at the end, it's really hard and everything in your body is screaming you want to give up. But I did it unintentionally, to a breathing pattern of, I was really trying to slow my breath down, and I doing a bit of a weird like exhale, but it got me through that last 5 minutes where everything was screaming. But if I controlled my breath, because that was in my control, controlling my breath. And I think for me, when I had my second child, I really got into the breathing. I just used an app, and it was inhale for 4, exhale for 8. And I just I had a horrible birth with my first child, but with my second, I just I was on like my yoga ball in the kitchen downstairs, and Dan kept saying, I think we might need to go to hospital now. And I'm like, I got it under control. And I called the hospital and spoke to the midwife, and she was like, you sound like you're breathing okay. I think you'll be okay. And I was just breathing, and I felt good and I felt in control. Then I felt something shift and was like, I think we need to go to the hospital. And we literally only just got to the hospital in time. I nearly had her in a wheelchair, like going into the building. But just because I felt so in control, and that really showed me the power of the breath. So yeah, I think I'm only now realizing how much I've used it throughout my life, and what a difference it makes.
Yeah, and it sounds like if it was quite a difficult first birth, then it really sounds like that would have been quite anxiety inducing, really stressful. So the fact that you managed to control that is a massive credit to you. and
Yeah.
actually looking after yourself as well.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks.
Pretty impressive. You also mentioned that you were very rewards driven, which is like me. So I just want to give a top tip for the listeners. If you don't already have health insurance, Vitality health insurance is something that will reward you because you get points each week. And I love free stuff. If you get enough points in the week, you get a free coffee. And this is not an ad, by the way. I just love free coffee and 50% off a cinema ticket. So that is a very good rewards driven system, and you get health insurance at the same time. So very, very useful. Just wanted to ask you, now that you're balancing a few different things, you've been through different stages of life, you're quite experienced in different careers, owning a business, being a wife, being a mum. Before that, you would have been single. What would be your number one tip for someone transitioning from maybe just from a couple or single life into having a family?
Gosh, that's a big shift in life. Was thinking about this the other day. I think it can be really easy to wish your life away or to think, oh God, like this is really difficult. I can't wait till I get there. Actually, it's about just trying to enjoy the process. And like my coach keeps saying to me at the moment, with because I've got I really want to get my new business going, and she's like, just slow down. And I think I'm much better now that I'm slightly older at just maybe taking a pause and thinking, just kind of just look around you. Like, what have you got? Like, I have a nice house. I've got my family. I've got my health. So yeah, do you know what? Life's all right now. And I think just taking those pauses just to appreciate what you've got. I think especially like, when like in my 20s, like you're sort of rushing, you're trying to get your career. What am I going to do? I don't know where I'm going to go. I just like want to know what I'm going to do. And I want to know, am I going to meet someone? Who am I going to meet? What's my life going to look like? What's my husband going to look like? Am I going to have kids? And I felt like I probably spent a large proportion of my 20s wanting to know the answers rather than actually enjoying that time. Whereas now I would love to go back, maybe only for like 24 hours, but I'd love to go back and experience that again. So I guess it's just try and appreciate and enjoy each stage as you go through it and don't wish it away.
100%. I absolutely love that. And I'm a big believer in that as well. Enjoy the journey. High performers are massively, massively guilty for getting to the goal, but forgetting it was ever the goal because they're already on to the next one. So, yeah, 100% one of the best bits of advice I've heard. And just to round things off, one habit that you would recommend everyone to do.
I mean, I probably should. I've talked a lot about ice baths, haven't I? So, but I know that that's not for everyone. Ugh, it's difficult, isn't it? I think it's just picking something and being consistent with it, whether that's probably diet. I think just, I'm not saying like you have to be a saint, but just try and be consistent. Try and eat well 80% of the time, because what we put into our bodies is going to affect how we feel. So if you eat rubbish, you're going to feel rubbish. If you eat well for 80% of the time, you're probably going to feel well for 80% of the time, if not more. So I think, yeah, maybe being consistent with what you put into your body.
Amazing. And do you know what? The one thing that once swayed me about my diet, I've always been pretty good with my diet, but I definitely went through phases before, is someone said to me, if you bought $1 million car, you would treat that with full respect. You'd put the premium fuel in it, you'd get it cleaned every week, you'd get it serviced, you'd get it MOT'd. Why do you not do that for your body? And I was like, oh, yeah. And they were like, and the worst bit is that your body isn't replaceable. Once it's broken, it's often not fixable, so look after it. So yeah, I absolutely love that. Diet is so, so important. Before we round off the day, is there anything else you would like to add? Maybe a little bit about what your business is and how people can find you?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow me on my Instagram, which I've changed now to Lucy A. Nash. That's me. My business, I haven't publicly launched it yet, but the business is all about everything that we've talked about. It's primarily for women who want to feel the best they can be. We all know what we should be doing, but it's how do you turn that into action? And I think I am the kind of person who is really good at getting stuff done, and I want to help other women to get that stuff done too. So join my Instagram, follow along, and then I will be revealing how you can join me in your hopefully own wellness journey.
Amazing. And hopefully there'll be something in the future where we can join forces. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for sharing your perspective so openly. Conversations like this exist to normalize experiences that many people go through quietly as life and responsibility grow and change. If anything we've spoken about feels familiar, that doesn't mean something's wrong. It often just means you're paying attention. You can find more conversations like this through Breathe. And if you want to understand how you're currently operating, you can take the Breathe scorecard at www.breatheblueprint.com. Thank you so much, Lucy. It was great having you here.
My pleasure. Nice to talk to you.